2025. It's the Urban Vibe. Welcome to Corporate Talk. And Coach Steady is here. He is founder of Steady Hill Legacy Global. He is CEO of Icon Management Solutions, which is a company whose vision is to help corporates and startups increase productivity and revenue through things like digital strategy, training, and branding as well. So today, Coach is not alone. We have Mwene Chileka, who is joining us on Corporate Talk today. She is an HR professional, senior manager, people and purpose at Deloitte. Good morning, Mwene.
Morning, honey. Good morning, Coach.
Hi, Coach.
Good morning. I was saying, is that ladies first?
Yes, of course.
Oh, wow.
You know
Yes.
how it goes.
He already knows how it goes.
It's a girl thing in the studio. Good morning, listeners. Good morning, everybody tuned in.
Yes, another edition of Corporate Talk. Today we are diving into what employers expect from you beyond showing up and doing your job.
Yes.
I like this topic.
It's amazing. It's very interesting. I think you and I have had conversations on the show where we really talk about, sometimes we feel like we're only speaking to people that are employing the people, but how about the people that are doing the job?
Mm-hmm.
So I think most people feel like just showing up is the key thing, then it's done.
Yeah.
But I think there's much more apart from just showing up. There's a lot more that you need to do and be able to do the things that you're supposed to do for you to win and do the stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get straight into it, and I'm glad we have an HR expert with us on the show. So you get key insights on this show on what is expected of you beyond just doing your job. Now, where do we start? Tell us the importance of aligning expectations.
First of all, I really like that you call me an expert, anyway.
What would you call somebody with years and years of experience and expertise?
I'm adding that to my title.
Great. I'm
Yes.
surprised it's not there already.
It's got to be there.
Yeah.
So, in terms of aligning expectations, organizations have expectations in terms of what they expect you to bring to the party. But then you also have expectations in terms of what the organization should deliver or should invest in you. Yeah? I think what matters is, first of all, that you align with the organization's expectations and then marry that to what you are expecting. It cannot be the other way around. So you need to, whatever you are doing, whatever your ambitions are, it needs to be aligned to what is expected of you. I.e., we are looking for a salesperson that can bring in XYZ business by first quarter. So whether my goal is to, I'm trying to think of a good example. If my expectation from this organization is that I should become an experienced or an expert sales person by the end of the quarter, I should make sure that I deliver on those expectations first, before the organization can then invest in me or do whatever they need to do to make me the expert salesperson. So it is me giving in first as the employee before I can gain, so to say. I think that's why we always get paid at the end of the month. We've done the job.
But do organizations communicate that clearly? I know we're not talking about organizations, but from your response.
I think it's clearly, if anyone clearly communicates expectations, it's organizations. Because when we're hiring, we tell you what we expect of you. You should be qualified, you should have these skills, and da-da-da-da-da. This is what we expect. When you join us, we give you a job description and we give you KPCs, and this is what we expect for you to deliver. What doesn't happen is that employees do not clearly communicate what the expectations are. Because one, at the point of joining the organization, because I want to get the job, I will tell you what you want to hear. Versus what I should be telling you, my authentic self.
Yeah.
And usually that becomes a problem. Because also we are looking to see if what your aspirations or expectations are really do align with where we're going and where we want to take the organization. And we want to hire somebody whose aspirations align with what we're doing. So if you're telling us what we want to hear versus your authentic self, you're really just doing yourself a disservice.
True.
Speaking of authentic self, though, how much of our authentic self should we bring?
True.
Because you might not really appreciate my authentic self if I was being really genuine. There's a lot of like cleaning up of our CVs and our authentic selves. You know, we dilute it.
Yeah.
Like you said, so that I can appear more, employable.
Yeah, I mean, you want to appear employable, but you also want to be genuine about it.
Yeah.
And I say this, I speak very passionately about this because I was telling Coach the other day that I went to talk to somebody about a possible role somewhere in some big organization, and I think I desperately wanted it. To the extent that I spent so much time talking to people and researching and understanding what I should say versus what I really should be saying. And I just went there and fumbled. I just messed it up. I would never have employed me. I was the one
That's a good one.
doing that.
Oh, wow.
That's honest.
That's
right?
very
Yeah.
honest. And I wish most people would be that honest.
Yeah.
Trust me. Wow, that's... And I think one of the things, maybe just to add into what she was talking about when you talk about being authentic, if you lie to other people, you were practically lying to yourself first. Because if you're not good at what you do, because your job must also give you the fulfillment that you need, and then also the purpose that you bring to the table. And I think maybe we need to teach more of these things so that when people are cleaning up their CVs, they must understand, yes, it's about bread and butter, but you must also be passionate about it. Because how then do you produce for the company and the organization if you're just cleaning up, reading a lot about certain things because you really want the job so bad, you forget, are you able to deliver? We need to be honest enough to say, look, I can't employ myself. Like, shit, I wouldn't hire me.
Oh, yeah.
Be honest enough to be able to say, I do not have the expertise. Yes, I want the bread and butter. And then that also puts you in a place where it challenges you to go and learn, to go and study, to become the version that is employable in that role or in that organization. I'll give an example. A lot of young people have got these big dreams. They'll mention these international organizations where they want to work, but none of those young people are doing the work to be able to be in a place where that organization would be a good fit for you. So it's not just about getting the dollars. It's about you being a quality person. Be honest enough to be able to say, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've seen people that tell you I'm able to deliver and do these things and give them the work and they don't deliver. So I think that's a big conversation to really speak about it. And I think like it would be a whole topic. Trust me, I'm really excited because a lot of people, like what Hani brought up, a lot of people clean their CVs to qualify for what they don't have the capacity. I always have this quote that I always say, just because somebody is willing doesn't mean they are able. Yeah.
But you see, also, because of AI, these recruitment platforms now pick up certain words in
Yes.
CVs. So it's okay to clean up your CV to align with whatever words need to be picked up.
Yeah.
That's fine. But in doing that, just be careful to humanize that thing afterwards to the extent that you're actually able to speak to those things that you have put in there, yeah? Because otherwise you can't, you know? And so for me, I think I'm passionate about this because you must go there and talk about and be the person
Yes.
that you can be,
Yes.
as opposed to the person that you have read about.
True. That's very true. That's a good one.
It is Corporate Talk on Heart 87.7. Let's talk about taking responsibility for results, whether positive or negative, whether, both wins and losses. How do we go about that?
Taking responsibility. I think we put a lot of reliance on our leaders to take responsibility for results and not on ourselves as employees. It is great when we win because we were the winning team and we must celebrate. It is a little bit more difficult when we lose because then it's the leader should take responsibility for that. Like, I don't understand why in football when the teams fail, the coaches are always fired.
Like that one.
It's just so unfair, right?
I also feel it's unfair.
It's not even him who was playing, guys. but yeah, so I think we need to take responsibility of our actions. We need to be responsible for the areas that we're entrusted to be players in, to the extent that even when it goes wrong, we must be very truthful about it and accept that yes, this went wrong. I was reading Sunny Zulu's book, and he mentioned somewhere where he made a boo-boo with his new CEO many years ago. And that day he says, look, I almost just sank into the ground because I didn't know what to say to this guy. And I went to somebody and he said, no, just think outside the box and you know what to say to him. And he thought of all sorts of things until he came to the realization that I should just go and be honest and say, look, I messed up, I disappointed you, but I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
But it took him a whole day to figure that out. You know what I mean?
That's
So,
a good one.
and you see a lot of that in organizations. I think when I do something wrong, I will go through everything under the sun. When it is so much easier to just say, look, I messed up. And I know sometimes the price for mistakes is quite costly in organizations, and it's not taken very lightly. But whatever the consequences, I think honesty is key, because I think it sorts out things quicker than when you were going up and beating about the bush. So yes, take responsibility for your actions, take responsibility for the areas that you're interested in, take responsibility for the teams that you're leading and the teams that you're part of.
Yeah.
But most of all, even when we're losing, be a big part of that as much as you would want to be a big part of the winning team.
Let me add in something. I think when you gave an example of the coaches in football, one of my favorite, everybody knows John Maxwell is my person, 24/7. That's my person when it comes to leadership. He actually says something very powerful. And as you coach people, as you lead people, you must find that quote, frame it in your office. He says, a good coach with a bad team can't win. And I think that's also very key. And he says, but a bad coach with a good team can win. So you have to understand the power of your team as you lead people, as you work around the people that you're working with. That quote has really changed how I lead, how I show up as a leader, because it makes me understand how to get the right people on board and get the wrong people off the train, because that really speaks to you as well as a coach as we're bringing in the right people. And I thought I should just add to that because I think it's very key. And then accountability is a leadership trait. It's not a title. Employees respect professionals who all own outcomes. This is what I have to show up. This is what I need to take full responsibility for. Whether it's successful or whether you missed everything that you're supposed to do, just own it. Just be able to show up and say, let me do something like this. Let me work on this. I really like this topic. We gotta do it at the corporate summit, because I think, and we also need to.
Led by Mwene.
Yes, 100%. Because
I
I
can
think
talk in detail about how I fumbled.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to hear that story in detail.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of communication, Mwene, we usually use these words. Team player. I'm a team player. Right?
It's on every CV.
Yes.
Again.
It's on mine. I'm a team player. When it comes to collaboration and communication, I also want to know I feel sometimes there's a thin line between being a team player and being a people pleaser. So when we talk about being a team player, what does it entail? What does it not entail?
Today, I think the key word is authentic.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that's the word. A team player works with the rest of the team. They're able to get along, to just be part of a moving part in the equation. A people pleaser just does things to please people, but we really don't get anywhere with that, right? Because it might just displease the rest of the team or disgruntle the rest of the team. A team player is flexible enough, is adaptive enough to allow the rest of the team to be able to move their parts freely and consistently without breaking down. A team player understands that I'm a part of this train And if my courage falls off, the rest of the team can't go on. They also understand what the other team players are doing to make the equation work. So it's a lot of adaptability, flexibility, and understanding. Where do we want to take this? And therefore, what is my role in this? In doing this, what do I need to do to make this work? So collaboration, communication, just be nice to people also. Just be nice and things like that to just make sure that it works in the end. Attitude, yeah, I think attitude is actually the biggest thing. I've worked on some teams where you have one person that just makes it difficult for everybody else to function. Like I don't know whether in their minds it seems okay, but it doesn't matter what you do with this person, they just make it difficult. So to the extent that, for instance, when their contract came to an end, they expected an extension and they didn't get it, and they didn't understand why.
Oh, wow.
So attitude, I think, is a big thing in terms of being a team player, but also just check your social etiquette, eh? Like, just be a socially acceptable human being with other people. Do unto others as you'd like them to do unto you, and just make sure that this train is moving, and you're not the reason why it has to stop every so often, so that we fix this and fix that.
So now, what's that quote, Coach, about something being defined by what you do when nobody's watching? There's a quote like that.
Yes, definitely.
So when we talk about integrity, ethics, and how one does their work when no one is watching, how do we ensure that, people maintain ethics, integrity, trustworthiness, and all of that?
Is it us ensuring, or is it people ensuring that they are the kind of people? Like, just be that person. As an employee, be that person. Be that person that behaves in front of your boss the way you behave behind his back. Be the person that shows up and mean it. Be truthful, be honest, and we just expect that we don't have time. I don't think leaders have time to watch over everyone all the time. So it is great when you have a team member that just does their part without you worrying. If I assign you this assignment, I can go to sleep at night and not worry or be nervous in the morning about whether or not this thing has been delivered. So just be responsible, be truthful, be honest. Where you can't, ask genuinely, and people are always there to provide guidance. Where you can, that is great, but just be that person. I think integrity, ethics, what's the other word? Trustworthiness. They're very common words these days. Maybe I think
confidentiality.
People have become less human beings and not. That's another topic, by the way. Like, we are teaching people to become human.
Yeah.
Like, so here we are now. We are asking or telling people to just be the human being that God would have loved you to be when He created you. Be truthful. Be honest. Be integral. Have integrity. Be ethical. And do what you need to do right, even when no one is watching. These are things that we should naturally do as human beings, based on the way we are wired. But unfortunately, we don't. So we constantly have to talk about it. To the extent, I think, even when we do adverts, we do talk about ethical and all that, right? Like the key skills and expectations. So things like that. Can you imagine someone writing on their CVs, skills are ethical? Or
we're shredding with the CVs today.
You're supposed
Goes
to
without
be
saying. You're supposed to be.
Yeah. So just be all those things, not just in writing, but in practice.
There's a quote that says, I think that's D.L. Moody. He says, "Reputation is what people think of you. Character is what you are in the dark." And I think these are truly things you shouldn't be out there. You should be these things. I was listening to a podcast, and this gentleman said something like a couple of months ago, and that's what the creed I want to live by. He says, "I am working so hard to become a man with no secrets." Like, if you vet me, you will not find any secrets. You will not go in the dark and find things that will be able to shock you. He says, that's my goal. And when I heard that, he was the first person I ever heard in all my life make a statement like that. And I said, what a bold way to be able to live. And that really speaks to integrity, trustworthiness. Like, search me and you will not find the darkest side of what you're looking for in this space. And when you show up at a job and do what you do, those are things that should be the goal. Those are the things that should be the things you do. One of the things I find very interesting, I don't know whether I shared it on the show, I find it very fascinating. If I send my helper to go and buy something, I will always find that coin by the windowsill, no matter what. If there's a change of a coin, you always find it waiting and pending. She doesn't take it for granted that this is just a coin, and it's not about the coin. It's about the principle behind why you always leave that thing on the coin. It's the same with your KPIs, expectations of what employers expect from you. They don't have to be the ones to police you. You should be honest enough to be able to say, instead of you going to fight for appraisals and somebody to put you in a pedestal, be the first one and say, I fumbled, I'm guilty. And don't be under pressure to give me a 10 when I was a 5. That's what integrity really looks like in a job space and as a corporate profession. Because you know what that does to you? It stretches you. And trust me, even when you hit a 5 and you are honest enough about your 5 without you going to protest and put out placards in the company to say, I did all I was supposed to do. Be very honest enough to be able to say, I dropped the ball. And trust me, the organization will say, this is the person we're looking for. What expertise, what skills do they need? What can we invest in them to become a 10? Because they're willing to own their downfalls and their shortfalls.
That thing you said about, I want to live my life without any secret, sounded like a Bible script.
Really? I like that.
But I'm just wondering, is that in all areas of life, or it's just in a certain, because I don't know if there's any human beings who has nothing that they don't want to let out to everybody. But anyway.
I like that.
When it comes to development, what is the responsibility of an employee versus the responsibility of an organization in terms of investing, in oneself, upskilling, training, things like that? How much should I be investing in myself just as an individual? But then I belong to this organization, and how much responsibility should the organization take in my development in that company?
I think the thing to understand is that organizations will invest in you as long as it works for them and it will add value to the organization, not just because they want to develop you. So investing in yourself is really for yourself. Although when you do invest in yourself, we are so grateful and we'll say, oh, this guy went and did an MBA. He can actually do this also. You know what I mean? So I've seen a lot of expectations from employees around, I want to do this, can the organization pay for it? And therefore it not happening because, I don't have money and the organization couldn't pay for it and therefore I couldn't do it. I think we need to take keen interest in ourselves in terms of developing ourselves, in terms whatever that looks like. Because we're living in an ever-changing world, right? So whatever we are doing, we constantly need to upscale, we constantly need to catch up, we constantly need to do things differently. And so just by the fact that you are just basic human need should be that I should constantly develop myself as a person in whatever form that is, whether it be going to school, whether it be reading books, listening to podcasts. What am I spending that time that I'm not busy doing? Am I investing in myself in terms of growing who I am? Or am I spending it laughing at funny things on social media? And so when we talk about developing yourself, it's not really just about you going back to school. I mean, that is also great, but there's so many things, especially these days, that we have access to that are part of learning and developing oneself. And that shows a person who spends time are investing in themselves in terms of what they hear, what they listen to, what they involve themselves, you can see the difference between them and the next person who doesn't. So it's a plus for you, for yourself, for your career development and where you're going. But it's also a plus, I think, in the organization where you already are or where you are not, because you set then yourself apart from the rest of the crew in terms of you have gone one step ahead and done something else that sets you apart.
Yeah.
Maybe I think if there's a topic I always speak about 24/7 back to back is personal development, because I don't see how you succeed in life without personal development. But let me give you a shocker. Our company, Icon Management Solutions, does corporate training. One thing that I maybe I'll do a research when I have enough time. One thing I don't understand is we've been in a place where an organization wants to pay for people to go for personal development programs, and their employees decide not to go. They choose not to. So some companies are willing to invest in their people, but the people they want to invest in think like, what's the point of going to attend that workshop? Now, how will the person who thinks like that go and buy a book to read? Go and attend, maybe go and get an MBA, or maybe go and get a master's and get all of those things. How would a person with a mindset like that go an extra mile to become a better person? An opportunity given to you freely is at your disposal, and you choose to shun it. I'll never forget one CEO telling me, say, Steady, I wanted these guys to come, but they gave me all the excuses why they shouldn't come. And I remember what I said to him, and I said, but at the end of the day, it's your company that suffers. Because if these people don't become better, you will be able to pay for them staying in the state that they are in. And that's why certain people, if you do personal development as a personal agenda, don't wait for your company to do it for you. Make a decision. I want to do this thing. I want to work around these things by myself. It's your personal responsibility to be able to invest in yourself, grow, and become better.
We have to end here, unfortunately. Join us next week, Wednesday, on Corporate Talk.
The best of mid-morning radio. 12 on Hot FM, number one for news and entertainment.